Sounds good. Okay, the time being 4:30, I'd like to call this meeting the Economic Development Committee. And before we adopt the agenda, item number 3, the minutes. Chad, we said we'll push off to next month.
Correct.
Okay.
They did not get included in the packet, so we'll wait till next month so you guys can actually review them.
All right. So motion to adopt the agenda with the change. Fred makes the motion. Dan seconds. Any other changes? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, first report on new business success story New London. Bill,
Did we have it?
Yeah, we were not able to.
Okay.
Get in contact with him quick
Okay.
enough to attend.
And we didn't know if he was going to be able to,
Yeah.
so we left it on the agenda just in case. So we'll continue to try to reach
That'll be
out
on
for
the
that.
agenda again next month.
Yeah, I'll hear something and if not, that's, we'll just play it in as we can.
Right. So next item, discussion on an economic development social media marketing plan. Chad?
Wonderful. So Casey, come on down if you got a second. So
Right here.
wherever you want.
Good spot.
So last month, to kind of recap, we brought up this draft marketing plan, I guess, for social media marketing. As we all know, Casey has been an awesome gem for us in the abilities and creativity of social media video marketing. So we are definitely going to use and abuse him, continue using and abusing him with that talent for marketing in the city. So we presented this marketing plan to you guys last month, and just wanted to kind of first of all ask if you guys had any comments or any type of things that you guys would want to see off of this, anything that you want to see added. And then we've got some information on videos that Casey will have some additional information on videos for how he's been marketing things on social media. So the range here. So first off, I mean, any other additional comments with this marketing plan? Here, let me share it on YouTube and Zoom for the people that are participating via Zoom. So any initial thoughts? I guess hearing none. I guess Casey, if you want to start going into what you've done in the last month with social media and video marketing, and then we can kind of continue, and we'll come back to this a little bit as we talk about it a little bit more.
Do that. Okay, so let me just find out where we are here. We got way more folders.
Right there.
than I- There we go. Okay. Okay, so let's start with our friends Pete and Joe. We did a video highlighting Pete and Joe and their little adventures. And this is one of those things where we do it to continue to promote New London as a town with a history, traditions, and stories. It's the type of town that will become increasingly appealing in the eyes of potential citizens. I like to do the pre-boost and the post-boost. So pre-boost is, again, we talked about that last time, organic, how the video kind of worked on its own. As you can see, the pre-boost had 5,200 views. We threw $25 at it and ended up with 16,200 views. Now, one of the things that you can't really see underneath there, and one of the things that's pretty important, is the amount of shares. Before we even paid to have it ran as an ad, it had 115 shares, and after, we had 262 shares. And that's important because those numbers don't go up unless this is something that people want to see. Again, you can pay $1 million to have an ad boosted, but if people don't and aren't receptive to it, they don't care. They're not going to share it. It's not going to show that type of traction that this video did. Performed best with men 45 to 54, and we've got the picture there to show you just how effective it was. Wouldn't share crazy. A lot of people, it seems, in New London have a Pete and Joe memory, and those who don't definitely have one now. If you haven't seen that, check it out. People are excited, and I think people don't want to move away knowing that they might not ever see Pete and Joe take that journey down the river again. Another thing that we did now, because it was our second consecutive year without a parade and tent party, we wanted to give those in New London something to fill that void left by an otherwise eventless year. So we came up with a 3-video series called The End of the Rainbow, where I brought in guest host Melissa Mulroy of the Shamrock Club to talk about what wasn't shut down. And in specific, we talked about where to get Irish food. We talked about that early, so people had as much ample opportunity to get out and be a patron to our local establishments. We talked about the long, rich tradition of New Dublin and reminded people of their ties to our Irish history by showing vintage parades and programs from years past. I felt like that's the least we could have done. So we went back, I think the original parade, second show was the original program, and then the third show was 1995. So a lot of people in this room could have found themselves in one of those parades. Again, an emotional appeal to the people in our town. They did pretty well. The top demo was women, 35 to 54, and the rest was pretty much spread evenly by people in all age groups. In total, the End of the Rainbow series was watched for a total of 22,323 minutes by 13,000 people. That's 380 some hours. That's incredible. That is awesome. That means people watch the whole parades through, watch the whole programs through. That's awesome. The people of the town, from the comments, were grateful that the footage existed and thanked the city and the Shamrock Club for bringing the footage back to life and showing it to people. This is going to be very important for us in the coming year, since I don't know if anybody else has heard, but the city of Appleton is now dipping their toe into the Irish Fest idea. They're actually having their inaugural one in September. And then next year, they're going to be doing it typically Irish Fest week. So it's very important that we remind people in this town why we're the best, why we're the longest standing Irish Fest parade and party in the state. And not only reminding them, but people outside of the city as well. And then we just finished this one and we haven't even released it yet. We got new, this is to promote city services. We've got the new pay stations down at Riverside Park, and we worked out a few kinks. Let the early boaters work out those kinks, or help us work out those kinks. And now that they are taken care of, we have a video. And again, this is so with marketing, you don't want to market while things are hot, right? Things are going to be hot like they are now on the river. You want to just let that be. When you want to start marketing is when things start going like this, right? You bring it back up again with marketing efforts. There's no need to infringe on what's already working. So if the boat landing is full and people are paying to launch their boats, then why market that? It's when we start seeing that dip, which we talked about, we got like this weekend's probably going to be pretty hot. And then after that, we're going to go back to probably more traditional leisurely fishermen. So we came out with this. Is the volume up there, Chad?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Prepare yourself. It's quite a spitfire.
Let me tell you about an exciting new way to pay to launch your boat. When you launch your boat at Riverside, use cash or card, you can decide. As you can see, it's not that hard. No more paper envelopes, no more cheating, that's our hope, cause now you can pay with cash or card. Check out the new boat launch pay stations at Riverside Park, or pick up your annual boat launch permit at either City Hall or Johnny's. They sure are the catfish's meow.
So that's to inform the public of some city services that we've got, and some improvements that we've been doing to Riverside. While I was down there, I was talking to a guy from Green Bay that said it's by far the best boat launch in the state of Wisconsin, and he should know because he goes everywhere. That was backed up by his buddy from Kaukauna. So people are coming to this town, and when they leave, we're going to want to put that out and promote that even more. Once the walleye run is done, we try to pick things back up again and continue to fill those slots and continue to promote tourism to our town one way or the other.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Very good.
Ginger
Him
looks
and I
really
talked about,
enthused.
Doesn't she?
we talked about a video, and within 30 minutes, he had that song done. You know, it's just the creativity is it's insane.
And I think it's important we called out the cheaters in there because that every Monday we would come in and there'd be envelopes with 3 pennies in it.
Yeah.
So people were going through the motions and not paying their $5. So a humorous jab at those who have kind of ripped us off in the past, I guess. And that's the way we win, is humor and leveling with people and being real with people.
But highlighting a new service because now we take card, which is a really good good addition to our boat launch availability down there. So that's really cool down there. Give me 1 second. I think John Fichet is calling in. I want to see if I can bring him into. All right.
The guys who put the 3 cents in the envelope, that sort of thing. Did they put the return address on?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Johnny. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been listening the whole time, but Casey is exactly right. The fishermen, I thought it would go over like a wet fart in church, but it's been fantastic. And people have been coming in and saying, it increases the landing time almost 3-fold. It's just so much quicker, especially on these inclement days where there's rain and moisture in the envelopes. And the fishermen have been saying, hey, whoever's responsible for that, thanking them, and I got to tell them, well, that's the city's deal over there. But, and the only thing we just got to remind them is that it's exact change. And they are very happy with it. It's just phenomenal. Those cheaters out there will end up learning that it's not paying off to cheat, because I think the police department's been doing a good job to patrol it too. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Good to hear, John.
So I think that just continues the services that we provide. It's economic development. It's tourism. It's just promoting our community. It's the branding. Like Casey and I were talking about. You see Nike commercials and Reebok commercials, and a lot of times they're not even showing their shoes. They're just showing the brand. So, Casey continually putting on marketing information about what makes New London hot, what makes New London, the place to be. That's the relative, up-to-date, current content is something we're going to keep on taking advantage of.
Yep.
But let's kind of circle back to the draft plan that we put together. Casey, you want to kind of continue on that, what we talked about today with
Yeah. So without asking everybody, I can just looking at this draft here, I can almost guarantee you I know what everybody's priority would be, and that would probably be business development. The tourism, the city services, the quality of life stuff, that's all the stuff that we're doing. That's all the stuff that we're going to continue to do, and those things come easy because we're an awesome town. Business development, on the other hand, this is where we had some questions, and we need to start asking ourselves some questions. Primarily, what does the city of New London offer a business that, say, wants to relocate that either no other city has, or even if we have the same things, what's something that no other cities are talking about that we can talk about and we can own, right? Because 90% of the time, places are doing similar things. It's whatever place is talking about it first owns that hill. What we need to find that hill that we need to own, and we need to identify it, and we need to know, and all the people in this room can contribute to that. What is it that the city of New London can offer a business that no other town can?
I think that something special about just New London and what I've experienced so far is like how much the business owners are all kind of like family members and how we all support each other.
Sure.
Like I haven't felt anything where it's like, oh, like we're trying to shoot you down or anything. It's all very supportive, and we all just want to build each other up, and everybody's offering support to each other, and we all like know each other, and I think that that's
Sure.
really amazing. And
A supportive business community.
right.
That's a great point. It's a valid point.
I think one of the things we talked about maybe a year ago or so was the ability for us to react quickly. And I think we used maybe a tagline of cut the red tape or through the red tape or something where we could meet quickly as a group, and then that group could meet as a group. So if there were things that we needed to adjust, and I don't
Sure.
remember what they were, ordinances or properties or something like that, that we could react quicker than some of the bigger communities could to facilitate it and make it easier for a business to choose us.
Is there any, like an example of perhaps a business owner who has experienced that might be willing to talk about it, or, hey, the city of New London came through for me kind of a thing. I love that, and that's important, especially with the uncertainties of moving a business to an unknown town or a town that they might not be familiar with other than what they found on our economic and development page on our website. That's awesome. So kind of a cut through the red tape. The city is going to react and help fix whatever problems your business might run into ordinance wise. Okay, that's good. And then I mean the rest is a lot of stuff that I don't know a whole lot about, and that's where I try to educate myself and come to these things and talk to you guys as much as possible to get that. So I mean, if any of you guys, and it might come to you while you're taking a shower tomorrow morning, let Chad or myself know, because those are all unique selling propositions that we can use to target business owners. And one thing I didn't say about some of these videos is we're throwing a substantially way less money at this stuff than we had anticipated. And that's because the videos are kind of working on their own a little bit. I feel that if we can save ourselves some money, by not having to promote these videos as heavily because they're working organically, that we may use that money to promote some larger, more targeted effort to go directly after the 16,000 business owners that are from Stevens Point to, Wausau, over to Green Bay, down to South Fond du Lac and over. And I think that's a definite possibility of something that we could do to move forward, and then use that video that we talked about with all these unique selling propositions and what we can do for business owners as the first thing that they see when we target them. That's kind of the big picture.
I look at some of the big manufacturers that we work with, and I think we talked once also that logistics, whether it was quick access, like our industrial park, quick access to 45. It was we had rail in town, so right there we've got truck, rail, some of the stuff of moving product fairly easily was a benefit.
Yeah,
20 minutes from the airport.
There you go.
Yep.
Yep.
For sure. And even less once 15 comes in. This again is going to effectively be the start of the valley.
One thing we talked about today with business owners, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, everybody we're hearing is they need employees. They're looking for employees. So with what Casey's doing is providing a image of what the quality of life is in New London. So hopefully we can continue to provide that image that we have great schools, we have great parks, we have great natural resources. We've got a great community for those employees to come and want to be part of this community. So, hopefully that's another aspect or little nugget we can start, promoting out there for these businesses to say, hey, we got a great community for employees to be a part of as well. So
right. And Scott was here last time, and business owner is moving his family. They're going to look at the school. They're going to see a school that invests in it. The community invests in the school. And I think all that stuff, again, it's tiny, it's tiny words in a much larger sentence, that we're kind of working on here incrementally.
And I think Casey and I talked about, we specifically want to do something to highlight our industrial park, what it's all about, what do we offer, things like that. We don't see that, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't see that as being a video we're going to push on social media pretty much for paid advertisements. I mean, the business owner clientele is not going to be there. We want that video so that we can kind of push it out there, but they can come to our city website to get that information of what we have to offer. So that's a video we're going to target this year. But then also a video series like you were talking about with April, the Mind Your Business series. So highlighting a new business in town or achievements or something like that. So that could be another
celebrating the little
business.
successes.
Yep.
Again, based off of that report that you give. That's absolute magic. It's like my favorite part when I watch these meetings. That's like my favorite part of the meeting is hearing of all, this moved here and this place is open. But we filled it, that's like the best part of this meeting.
So Chad, like you
Both
said,
sides.
our website already has the business districts on there for what we have. So you're going to put a video out there to better display of what we have and explain what's available. I just didn't know if everybody knew that was there already.
Those videos are on there, but I'm assuming you're talking about the ones that are like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
That build.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're 4 or 5 years old. We
Right.
want to be current. So we want to update that content, make sure people know what's going on, target it in a different way. Like I said, Casey's mind is phenomenal. He's got a way of, capturing and marketing things. So we're going to continue to use that. And he's got a drone now. So now we can go up and shoot a drone up in the air and show visuals of our business park. And, hopefully we've got Midwest properties that are going to be developing soon. We should take the drone up there when they're cutting, what they're building to show that we have building going on.
Yeah, the monkey see, monkey do. Look, there's people here doing this.
Yep.
You can too, without getting too rhymey, I guess.
And
Were you
obviously,
talking just now about the Riverside development?
what's that?
Were you just talking about the Riverside?
No, I was talking about the Midwest properties in the industrial park.
Oh, okay.
They're the developer that's going to be putting, we just sold a property for new developers up there in the new business park. So to have that video of groundbreaking construction and things going on. And I mean, that's not the only thing we need to do. I mean, we're making phone calls. I mean, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag what we've been talking about, but we've been talking to other businesses and trying to,
I think, like
encourage
you
some growth,
said,
but
too, Bill, though, is once we get done, our SCS starts building out there and breaking ground, it'd be another thing to highlight in the city of development.
I was wondering, in Casey, this would be you. I every once in a while I'll blip onto the internet and I'll see what was it, Crazy Horse, I think, and they've got a live camera just watching the development of when they're developing this, and you'll watch them as they're building a great big building or a new construction. Can we do anything with that? And this could be way out in left field, but can we do something like that with Pete and Joe? Have a camera, and I would think people would want to tune in every once in a while and see when that boat actually lets loose, or when we're developing the project. And maybe they will do that. Maybe they'll have a camera up there and watch this thing start from ground up. But some of that stuff is kind of neat to see, and if there's
and I mean, something like that could be probably piggyback off of like our existing security cameras. Our IT guy might not like it, but we could probably, I think that's a great idea to have a live Pete and Joe cam. Are you kidding me? That's wonderful.
there's companies that do that. I mean, when we built the garage, we had at least 2 companies call me and wanted to sell us that service, that they'll, time lapse it and things like that. But we could probably do something like that. I mean, all you need is a web camera and
Pretty
set
much,
it up,
yeah,
set
some
up on
sort of
YouTube and
internet access, or
I think it would help with that project. It would help people who have interest in, hey, we may want to move into one of those. We may want to relocate.
Yeah.
How's it coming along?
like a watch us grow kind of a thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like it.
Yeah, great idea.
So those are the conversations that we've been having based on, our template here that we kind of constructed. Thoughts? Oops, that's the wrong one. what do you guys think? Do you like this approach? Do you think we gotta do something else? I mean, we're using the talents that we have in house, and it's a marketing thing. We want to just brand New London. We want, like I said, if you watch his videos, after every video, the city logo pops up and there's a bing, and let's brand it.
Along those lines, just to digress here for a minute, the sturgeon, what we've just been talking about, I don't know if we can somehow get a camera on the sturgeon as they're rolling around on the rocks. I mean, we're competing like for Shackton. A lot of people are familiar with going up to Shackton. Well, their first thought should be, we should go to London and, so forth, kind of promoting the tourism and that kind of thing. But
Yeah, we're planning on promoting the best possible viewing angle of the sturgeon because New London really has great access
exactly.
to all of that. And I have, I'll be out there. I actually signed up for your sturgeon, the chamber notification. Yep, when the sturgeon come in. And I've got a polarized lens on the drone, and I plan on getting not only some excellent footage, but again, talking about how easily accessible it is. Again, you're planting doubt in people's minds that if you go someplace else, you might not be able to see the sturgeon as well as you will in New London. And because we said it first, we own that hill, so it must be true.
But I was thinking the online or the camera that's there all the time. I don't know if we can.
Kind of like the Wolf River cam.
Exactly. My son looks at that thing religiously. And that's the kind of thing I think we can say, that people are interested in.
We'll have to look into that because the Wolf River Cam is a whole, if you go to their website, they got advertisers and they got I don't know, 4 or 5 different cameras, downriver.
Yeah.
I think we would have to invest in new technology for a
Access
permanent
to-
type thing like that. And then the constant streaming of that as well. We don't quite have
There's
that
something to
set
think
up.
about in the future.
Maybe it's something we could approach the Wisconsin DNR with as well. They were just out there putting the new shoreline in. I know a guy, so maybe I could pressure him a little bit about that. And I think that's a great idea too.
But like you said, I can figure out how much public shoreline we have in New London and
Right.
just promote, hey, we've got X amount of
Fishable, accessible shoreline.
to view sturgeon spawning,
Right. Yep.
So
It's not just the shoreline, it's also the parking. That's a lot of people are complaining about it.
there you go, the parking too.
Yep.
That's a good point.
You have to walk a long ways or something. Okay. David?
It's obvious a great deal of thought and work has gone into this marketing plan. A. B, it's working. So C, why don't we move to codify it or move to accept it as the current plan for marketing? I'll make that a motion, Dave.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, John seconds it. Any further discussion? And I think it should be a live plan. I mean, excellent start. Folks should be really congratulated on the excellent start. As you see things and so forth, we should review this at least quarterly. And as ideas pop up and so forth. Yes.
Back to the promotion on the whole card and cash at the boat landing. I think that, I don't know if you guys have talked about this or have thought of this, but I think that we need to make sure that we are checking those card readers because some people can put skimmers on them. And I think that is a good thing to keep like an eye on those for the public because that could take a turn really, really quickly. So I don't know if there's a plan for when people go out there and take a look at them or whatever, but I just thought I'd bring it up.
We have to grab the money on a regular basis. So
Okay.
when we do that, that's an easy check every
Yep.
time we grab the cash.
Perfect.
They're checking the
Great
machines
point.
themselves.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was good. Good point.
Okay, any other comments though on the social media marketing plan? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else on that chat or? we move
Only
on?
that Casey's becoming a celebrity is because where was he from that
That was the guy from Kaukauna.
came up to Casey like he was Casey's best friend and was
Simple.
was like, I thought he was related to me or something. I was like, how are you? It's Bill from Kokona. And like, I'm like,
The bill collector.
right? Yeah, with my life. Yeah, no, it's cool. And I'm really happy that, you know, we're getting the traction for this.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Thanks
Yeah.
very much, guys.
Great.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Johnny.
All right, item number 6, review the 2021 economic development goals. Chad?
So moving into this, I put in your packet the 2020 goals that were talked about last time, and I handed out some 2021 goals. This is a draft, obviously. And personally, when I create goals, I want stuff that I can check a box off of. But I didn't want to lose a lot of stuff that's on there because there's some good stuff on the previous goals, but some of that stuff isn't really an easy checkbox that we actually did that. So in the goals I handed out for the 2021 goals, I tried to split it up into action steps. And in my mind, that's something that I, at the end of the year, I can go check. And then I also put ongoing activities, just so we didn't lose sight of some of these things that we wanted to put on there. So that's in my mind how I kind of separated some of these things. I will be perfectly honest, 2021 is going to be a narrowed focused year for us, just because number one, I'm new in this position. It's taken me longer to learn some things. So I'm not going to be able to just jump and jump on a lot of this stuff. So I'm learning as I go along. Number two, as most of you know, we've got a lot of changes in the office. We've got to backfill the Public Works and Parks and Rec director positions. We've got a brand new city clerk. We've got a brand new building inspector. That's taking a lot of my time as well. So there's going to be a lot of time spent on other things just to get up to speed. So I've narrowed down 2021 economic development goals to try to check boxes on things that I know I can really try to get to this year, and then help us develop for the future. So what I did was I put on, what do we want to do for actively assist local businesses, work in collaboration, assist the downtown revitalization subcommittee. That's important, not only for the downtown, but in relationship to our 2024 reconstruction project. So that's all tied in hand to hand. So we want to work on that. April's working with the downtown revitalization subcommittee and working on the Connect Communities program that I believe you guys talked about a year ago or so. I did create the letter already for that support letter from the city for the application process. So there's a check right off the bat, but we'll continue to work with the subcommittee on that. Promote, encourage, develop, and manage the downtown facade improvement program. We're finalizing the number there so that, and I want to work with Casey. We want to get some information out, marketing about downtown facade. The mayor's got a push right now about blight in the city. We can kind of piggy that back off and just improve our downtown appearance. So we want to promote and encourage and manage the downtown facade improvement program that we have going on. Continue to participate with the chamber. It's obviously a very important relationship to be interactive with the chamber board, just with the downtown businesses or all the businesses in town, and staying on the pulse of what's going on. Create video content. We just talked about all that. I know it's one little blurb on here, but there's so much to that one statement right there. And I think our last discussion really talked about how much we can put in there just to market New London, how much talent and opportunity we have. Work with the chamber and meet existing businesses. This is important to me. I don't know how soon I'm going to get on that, just with everything else going on in the office. I think it's going to be more so the second half of the year. Once we get the Public Works and Parks and Rec director position on, I want to work with April and going on as a team and meeting with the business owners and start getting my face out there and meeting with everyone. Meeting with the realtors, putting every twice a year, getting all the realtors together and just talk with realtors about what they're hearing and just staying on the pulse with that. So I think just going out there and, meet and greet and things like that. Like I said, I think it's going to be busy yet for the first half of the year. And once the new Park and Rec and Public Works directors get on board and get their game going, that's going to help me focus on some of these other things. And then this isn't really for me, but it's monitor building occupancy. Chamber does that. April brings that every month. That's a good report. So this isn't only my things that I do. This is for our whole committee of what we're doing. And then I just put in all the other stuff that we had in the last, last year's the goals, working with the tourism, business guides, things like that. So I don't want to lose sight of some of this stuff. So I just kept it all in there. Attract new businesses. That's really important. Obviously, we want to grow. I know not everybody, you see it on Facebook. Why aren't we bringing businesses? Why aren't we doing that? Well, we're asking, we're seeing what's out there and what's available. It's not a matter of us just bringing a grocery store in town. I mean, obviously that's a private venture that someone else has to bring it in and run it. So the mayor's, contacted, grocery stores. Not only with that, but I mean, there's, and I'm not going to I don't want to say too much, but there's been a lot of conversations between myself, the mayor, and April about what other businesses we can bring into town. That communication's happening, and it's just going to get more and better as we go on. So even though we're not reporting on every single little thing, there's some good communication going on. Again, social media content for new business owners, participate in both Outagamie County and Waupaca County Economic Development Corporations. That's just saying, keeping up on the pulse of things. And then all this other stuff with potential entrepreneurs and working with the schools. Fox Valley Tech, April and I were talking about that to kind of reach out with Fox Valley Tech and kind of rekindle those conversations with them. I don't know how much that's been going on in the last year, so we want to definitely work on that. Now, I did keep the World Economic Development Alliance in there, and I know David made a comment about that. And I believe that's the marketing that you guys kind of approved for last year. I don't know if I'm going to recommend to continue that. That was the email marketing blast that you guys approved with the $10,000 that we were marketing New London. I think we're better off spending the money with Casey, which is a lot cheaper.
Yep.
And I think we're going to be a lot more focused on that. So I left it in there just to make sure it's in our minds, but I don't know if we're going to focus on that specifically when I think we get a better bang for our buck with the talents we have in house. So what else is on here? And then goal number 3, obviously market the development of the Northeast Business Center. We've got a developer that's going to be developing up there hopefully in the next month, breaking ground. We've got to continue that focus. Try to get, and there's been other conversations with other businesses, and hopefully we can continue to get somebody in here. So that in a nutshell, like I said, I wanted to kind of separate it into action steps and ongoing activities. And in my head, the action steps is a checkbox at the end of the year I can check, but the other ones are just focus type things, is some things that we really continue on to focus on. So with that said, any thoughts?
Yeah, 2 things. First 2 points of buildings, facades downtown, and so forth and so on. I got a call from Paul Nielsen, who runs TV Appliance, yesterday. 4x8 sheet of plywood fell off the Easy Street building, hit a girl with a car. And finally, I talk to Paul probably 2-3 times a week. He tells me all the stuff falling on his roof, damaging his building. It's probably the nicest looking building all of downtown New London. And waste in the back there and so on and so on. He did call a building inspector, and I guess there's some investigation being done now. And he said to him, overheard that the city's afraid to go after this guy. I said, well, we got a new building inspector, and he can go over there. If he needs to take a couple police officers with him, fine. There's certain rules and codes and laws that you have to abide by. So building inspector says he's going to get back to Paul soon. But before, that's probably the biggest eyesore of all downtown. And then a few buildings on the other end. And one thing, Jolly Rogers really did a nice makeover there. It's too bad the property next to him isn't his too. So, but that's on the facade stuff, and that'll go a long way to make it attractive down there. And second thing, in the grocery store, I see these people posting, you're from the London, whatever that site, and they don't understand how hard it is to get somebody. My good friend Jack Spearings is mayor in Waiwega. They have no grocery store. They have 2 promises. was already a start and boom, they backed out. So it's not as easy as it sounds or looks. Just say, hey, come on in, open a store. Costs money, so forth and so on. So people apparently aren't willing to make that investment, but hopefully we get some movement soon.
Mhm.
But I think my pet project here is to clean that corner up.
So 2 comments to that. David, our new building inspector, made that report. He reported on that this morning at our staff meeting. Mayor was involved with that. So he's aware of that situation. He reported that and he's going to be working on it.
Good.
So that's probably not something that's going to happen overnight, but it's something we got to
understand. It
work
takes a
towards
while.
that.
It's
And then you're
just
absolutely right with any type of business, whether it's a grocery store or a new business, whatever, continue to make those contacts. That's something we'll be focusing on more. But then also ask the question, why aren't they able to do that here? What's holding them back? Is it just that market is not ready for that type of business, or, is it because
It's hard to explain it really, because there's old competition really.
Yep.
Granted, it's not a big city, but counting the rural area around there, they certainly can make a good living, I would think.
But I think at least
Because look at the grocery store they got in Manawa.
Yeah.
Remington's, they do fine.
at least we got to ask the question. And if there's a reoccurring theme that we're hearing,
That's fine.
if there's a reoccurring theme of why they're not building or they're not coming here,
I didn't get into detail with Jack, so.
but I think that's what we got to ask as
Yeah,
city staff. We have to
exactly.
ask the question, and say, why are you not interested or what's holding you back? And if there's a
Yeah.
reoccurring theme, well, then we got to talk about how we can combat that. We might not be able to, but at least then we know.
Yeah.
I think someone else had their hand up. Yep.
I had a comment that kind of just is a reiteration of all the stuff we've kind of been saying, but I feel like there's a lot of really wonderful things that are happening in New London. I feel like most people in New London know about these things, like the Parkview, the new stuff in Parkview, and the businesses growing, and the murals that happened in the summer, and just like all the wonderful things that are happening. When you bring them all together and paint a picture for people to actually realize how amazing everything is right now, I think that brings a sense of community to keep reminding the public that we are growing and we are continuing to be successful, I think is important just for our community overall. So,
I think you're absolutely right. And the guy sitting in the back,
yeah,
he's
for
responsible for that. So
Fred, you brought up the blight and stuff, the junk around. And that's something I've been working on with the building inspector as a whole, as our city, because for one thing, I think that's a cheap and easy fix for our community to clean up our community as a whole. And it's going to be more attractive to everybody as a whole.
You bet it
And
is.
so, it's small steps, but I hope at the end of the year, what we're starting now can tie up with our Rock the Block event in the fall. And next year will be an awesome year.
Okay. I would appreciate it very much.
Chad, I have a question on the what we were originally talking about on the goals. Can you hear me?
yep, go ahead. We're waiting.
On that World Economic, whatever, that thing that Lou got us into for 10 grand. When does that expire?
Oh, I'd have to look back.
It's sometime towards the end of this year.
Yeah.
It got stalled and then they started it up, and I think it's sometime in the middle of this year.
October-ish,
That sounds right.
somewhere in there.
As far as if there needs to be action, I would make a motion to suspend that at the earliest possible time and make sure that there's no automatic renewal or any. That to me has done absolutely nothing, and it was like the worst $10,000 we threw at anything in our life. But outside of all the other talk about grocery stores and stuff, it should be mentioned that there was 2 years worth of trying to find somebody to get into that place before Pete retired, and I think that no matter what people want to think about how we can just take somebody out to dinner and get them to invest $10 million into a grocery store or whatever. But I think we also need to be thankful for that we have a grocery store. But that's all I'm going to say about that. But that 10 grand that we're spending, I agree with you, Chad, that we are so in a good place with Casey on board and the marketing and everything. I don't think that we need to be part of some global fraternity right now or whatever that was, or whatever that service for $10,000 got us. I haven't had a report or seen anything that got us a year ago when we signed up for it. I think we just said, well, we're willing to take a punch in the dark. And yeah, we need to get out of that as soon as possible and make sure that there's no reoccurring thing, that we're out of that deal and we're done with it. That's my opinion.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Johnny, I'll double check to make sure. I think it was a 1-year situation, and I think we're out of that. But I'll triple check to make sure that there's no reoccurring contracts, things with that development. I think you tried it. You took a stab at the world. It was more of I think a nationwide type situation. You took a stab at it. We really didn't see much of it, but let's continue on focusing on what we can do locally with our talent in-house.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other comments? Chad, anything else you want to?
Nope, we'll just continue to work on that. And yeah.
I just want to emphasize too, again, right now Chad is wearing about 10 different hats and we got him spread awful thin on this stuff. And I encouraged him to keep this list for this year fairly short and sweet, so that we can accomplish the important stuff with a limited amount of time. In the past, the city administrator devoted at least a quarter of their time to this. With Chad's schedule, if he's got 5 minutes a week to devote to this, maybe we're lucky. And so next year, this list could be much bigger if Chad has the time, or we can do a much better job on it and so forth. But
agreed.
So encouraged Chad to see that it is a more little stripped down. As Chad said, the ongoing activities, they're all nice things we could do, should do, maybe do, but they're not as critical as some of those other things that you pointed out. So I'm glad you. Yep. All right. And maybe we should adopt these goals. This is our first time this year. We had to look at them. Again, it's something we should look at monthly. This is kind of why we exist. And but I'd like to have a formal adoption of the goals so that we know we're shooting at this. David,
I move they be approved and accepted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Lena, second. Okay, any further discussion on the goals? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, updates, April?
Updates for this month. We had a new business come to town. We had a new business come to town called MJ's Treasures. She's right on North Water Street, 106 West North Water Street. She's sharing space with Marriott Travel. So this will be two businesses under one roof. They are carrying travel accessories, swimsuits, resort wear, baby and kids clothes, books, and gifts. And she just opened, so make sure you stop in and support her. My second update is a relocation effective April 1st of this year. QPS New London Employment Agency is currently located in the former City Hall, so right across from Marriott Travel at 103 West North Water Street. They will be moving up the road to 504 West North Water Street, which was the former Wolf River Lawyers building. So that'll leave an open space. So we're going to work with that landlord to see if we can bring someone in as soon as possible. And then the last thing that I want to do is invite everyone here to a ribbon cutting ceremony on Thursday, April 1st at 12 p.m. Our new business Next Level USC Ultimate Sports Complex we'll be celebrating a grand opening. So I welcome everybody in the room to please come out and support a new business. They're located at 865 Surprise Ending Road, and that's the former Elevate Archery. That's all I have.
Have you heard any comments about the sewing machine place? They have a,
We've tried to contact Sue. I know she's got a relocation little note on her building, and I haven't heard from her. She lives out of town, so we're trying to track her down to see what's going on.
all right, any questions for April? Not, thank you, April.
April,
Yes.
sorry. Any update on the status of the movie theater, the sale?
I know that the listing expired, and she did not have any interested offers. That's all I know. I just touched base with Becky today to see. Becky had provided a list of updated commercial property and land that was currently on the MLS, and I didn't see the theater on there, so I reached out to her, and she just said that the listing had expired.
At the risk of opening a can of worms, it's my understanding that the Grand Theater in Oshkosh is owned by the city of Oshkosh and that it's leased to an operating company that actually operates the building. I know there was an awful lot of effort by the community that went into restoring that building, and I would really hate to see that building go downhill in a way that the old City Hall building has. And I don't know if the city has any resources or any interest in trying to purchase that building to ensure that it's taken care of, and then turning around and leasing it out to a private entity to actually operate it, but at least ensure that the building is maintained for future generations. Just a thought.
Good point, Hans. Maybe something we could put on the agenda for next month, just kick around a little bit more.
I know that someone who might possibly be interested in presenting that, she's shared similar response that Hans is, and she would like to work with the city if possible. So I can talk with her to see if she's interested to come.
Great. Okay,
His name is Jim.
all right, then city administrator report, Chad?
Yeah, first off, like I alluded to, Midwest Properties, we did finally close on selling them the parcel in the Northeast Industrial Park. So they're working on getting their engineering done. Little hiccup with stormwater with the DNR. We're working through that. So we're working together. They've asked for information because the stormwater facilities that are up there were built for that area. And we're working with the DNR and them trying to get the DNR to bless everything. So that's in process. But they're planning on breaking ground hopefully in the next month. So that's really good, positive for business development up there. I'm excited to talk about that. We have several subdevelopments that are popping up all of a sudden in New London. So number one, we've got the Romanesco property that's over by the high school. Randy Retzloff, who was here several months ago, purchased, there's a parcel over by Trinity Lutheran on Beckert Road, Beckert and Oshkosh. There is an open field behind Trinity there. I think it's about 16 acres. He purchased that, and he's bringing up a plan to the Planning Commission on Thursday for multifamily and single family housing unit on that 16 acres. So that's a second subdevelopment. We've got our downtown development that we've got going on. If you're familiar with East Ridge, which is off of House Road, there's the Romanesco East Ridge development. There was I don't know how many acres it is, but there was a parcel that was just north of there, northeast of there, that was platted off, I think in the 90s, and nobody did anything with it. A new person just bought it and is looking at developing that. From what I got out of him, he's interested in starting to break ground this year yet. I don't know how that's going to go. And then I'm not going to say who yet, but there's another, I think it was about 30 acres parcel in the city that someone's looking at developing as well as a subdevelopment. So between all those, I mean, Jeff's got development up on north side over by the industrial park. There's some subdevelopments that are going to be going on in the next couple of years with all that. So some opportunities there, which hopefully we can increase our our populations in that aspect. So very good news on that front. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, item number 8, review potential agenda items for future meetings. Does anybody have anything else to add to this list? Okay, hearing none. If you do have ideas, I'm sure Chad will be very interested in hearing them. Other than that, Chad, you will be working on the agenda next month.
Correct.
Very good. All right, next public comment. Okay, it's been sitting there so patiently, quietly. Any comments back there? All right, if not, review next meeting date, the last Tuesday in April. Good.
Looks like April 27th would be the next meeting date.
Okay.
You new chairman?
And I would like to just, Tom beat me to the punch there. I want to thank Dave. Obviously, you guys know he's not running for re-election. So this, I believe, is Dave's last economic development and being chairman of this committee. So Dave, thank you for everything, what you've done and for the committee and for the city. So just want to recognize you for that.
Thank you, Dave.
I want to thank you all for being.
Dave, you've been an inspiration through this committee. Actually, Dave, you were sitting on that back desk back there. You were one of the reasons that I really wanted to get more involved in things, because you always invited people to put their input in. And Dave, you are a phenomenal person, and you are going to be missed greatly, especially on this committee. Some of the most engaging discussions I've ever been involved in years ago were on sitting at that table taking notes on the Economic Development Committee. And Dave, you led those discussions masterfully, and you are a teacher at heart, no matter whether you're in a classroom or as a chair of the committee. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, John. Thank you. So motion to adjourn?
So move.
Fred, second? Dave seconds. All in favor?
I
We are adjourned. Thank you all.